Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my Let's Play Diablo 3. So this is my third episode, and in the last episode we finally went ahead and got the crown that we needed in order to be able to confront the Skeleton King. So what we're going to do in this episode is basically we're going to go try and find the Skeleton King and confront him, and that's one of the big boss battles in this chapter of Diablo 3. So that's where we're going now. We're back at the cathedral now and going and through the various levels looking for that despicable Skeleton King, who also used to be known as King Leoric before he was corrupted by Diablo. For those of you who have not played classic Diablo, that was part of the storyline. Was King Leoric had been corrupted and went basically insane, and when he was killed, became the Skeleton King. So this sort of kind of ties up that particular part of the storyline from classic Diablo. And here you can see I'm now fighting some bat creatures that are blue elites. There are blue, yellow, and orange colored elites. The blue are the lowest level ones and the easiest ones to fight.
It was Lazarus. Of that I am certain. He alone had the king's ear, and whispered dark and evil magics into it, instilling the notion of an imminent attack by Westmarch. Afraid to speak against the Archbishop, the councillors nodded their empty heads in agreement, and sent us off to die.
Alright, I didn't want to talk over that. I am going to try and include as much of the various pieces of lore in these episodes as I can. So I'll try not to talk over when we go ahead and listen to the various lore pieces, because I don't know how easily those stories are to read. Also, as you can see here, I am actually skipping over whole sections of this. I think of this 20 minutes that this episode is, there was actually originally about 45 minutes of gameplay that I recorded, and I took about 25 minutes of it out. Because it's just one battle after another and everything, and I figure I have enough battles in here, and I'm kind of keeping to the more interesting ones. Like here, I've got to kill some of these guys that are using these totems to transport from the netherworld here, or from hell, I suppose. They're transported here from those totems. Had to destroy those totems, and I also leveled up, so we're now level 7. Which is good. Alright. And going through, and here we've got a yellow elite along with two normal buddies of his, but they're pretty, these particular guys are pretty badass, just at normal level. And then the yellow elites are stronger than the blue elites, as I was talking about earlier, and then the orange ones are the toughest of all the elites. And as you can see here, I'm not doing very well. My health is almost gone, and bam, I just died. So I think this is the first time I've died in the game since I started recording these episodes. So yeah, that's what it looks like when she dies, and I didn't. I cut out the part where because basically what happens is she respawns at the beginning of the cathedral, and I had to run all the way back here, and so I was like, well, I'm not gonna include that. So here I am. I'm dealing with one of the kind of the badass monsters, and then a bunch of skeleton type dudes and everything. So her health is getting a little weak here, but thankfully they're dropping enough health globes. So if you're going against a really large group of monsters in Diablo 3, if you kill enough of them quickly, they will drop health globes, and you'll be able to survive the attack. So don't fear too much the larger groups of just normal monsters that you have to encounter, because those are actually not too bad to deal with, because like I said, they drop health globes and makes it fairly easy to survive those encounters. It's when you have to deal with the higher end elites, the yellows and the oranges, and especially if you have to deal with multiples of them, because at the higher levels, instead of just this one, you'd end up dealing with 3 or 4 of them at the same time, especially once you get to the higher versions of this game. because right now we're playing a normal level, and Nightmare level is next. I believe Hell level, and finally the Inferno level. And the Inferno level, because you're at the max character level of level 60, you don't level up beyond that. What they've done now is when you go up against multiple elite groups, and at that point you see, instead of one yellow elite, you end up like 3 or 4 of them, and you end up earning other types of experience. I forget exactly what they've called it at this point, but it's a special kind of experience that doesn't level you up as a character, but gets you extra points and things, so that you can get more drops in terms of gold, and you can get drops in terms of higher end gear. Alright, so here we have the first interesting piece of this particular episode, where we kind of rescue this guy who's basically being turned, or the coven that we see here is trying to turn him, and so we just rescued him. And now I'm going after a yellow elite here. This guy is a more squishy elite, a yellow elite, than the other ones. Like I said, even in normal mode, those other monsters are actually pretty badass. And in normal mode, the guy that the elite that I just killed, they're not that difficult to kill. And even in elite mode, they're not that difficult to kill. And I wanted to go after him and target him first, primarily because he is he spawns other skeletons and other monsters, so really wanted to get rid of him.
I am Cormac, warrior of the Templar Order. If it is the Skeleton King you seek, then you will have to fight your way past John Dar. There is no reason we should hunt alone.
Agreed. Let us fight together.
Alright, so we now met our friend that we just rescued, and he is going to be one of 3 different companions that you can have along the way as you quest throughout Diablo 3. So he's the first one that we meet, and there'll be 2 others later on, and then over time you'll actually have a choice in terms of which one you want to run with. So the first one is this guy. He's sort of a melee fighter, and then there's an enchantress, and there's also a thief who is kind of like a stealthy kind of guy. And so you have a choice in terms of their different abilities and different things that they can offer you in terms of helping you out throughout the quest. So if you prefer soloing in this game, it's highly recommended that you choose one of them, or you can just switch them up and everything else. You can actually they level up with you, and you can actually give them some gear as well as other things. So, and here you get the question, do you want to have them join you? So I did that, and so now we're questing together, and so it's kind of nice.
When we returned from our horrific defeat in Westmarch, my beloved king lost all pretense of sanity. He seethed with rage, spitting curses upon us as traitors. With great sorrow, I ran him through.
Alright, so we just learned a little bit more about Leoric from Luckdonan's journal. And just basically, now that we've rescued our Templar here, the next stage in the game is basically just looking for where the heck that darn Skeleton King is, and going and defeating him. So, and here I just leveled up to level 8, and I have a new ability called Breath of Heaven, which I believe I've probably added here already. I just skipped over doing that. Alrighty.
I could do that again.
I will forever live in anguish for my last attempt to honor my king. As we lay him to rest in his burial chamber, he manifested as a hideous skeletal demon. Gorash and my other knights were overcome at once, but I fought on.
Alright, so that was how King Leoric became the Skeleton King, and here we go. We finally found the Royal Crypts. So this is sort of the last leg before we face the Skeleton King directly. Got plenty of minions around here to Try and protect the way to his
I do not
tomb.
understand how evil walks in the day. Should it not fear the light?
Evil knows not day or night.
But the light is both a literal and figurative foe of evil.
Keep your distance from him. This burden is mine to bear. May death bring peace from your madness, Leoric.
Traitors! Even in death, the armies of Condorus will still obey their king, even if you will not.
Alright, so that's basically what happened when Leoric was finally put to rest, so to speak, by his lieutenant.
The warmth of life into my tomb.
We shall put you down, Hellspawn!
Alright, so we're not quite ready to face him yet. He just kind of makes an appearance here, and we have to destroy these towers because they're portals to hell and sucking in more skeleton demons to fight us. So the faster we get rid of these towers, the fewer of these skeletons that we have to fight in the long run. So that's the first trick of this area, is to just get rid of those towers. And now we can just pick off the rest of the remaining skeletons. Pick up some health globes, get our health up again. And we're getting pretty close to the final confrontation with the Skeleton King. We just have a couple of little areas here that we have to run through, little barriers. Like the floor here is collapsed and everything, so we kind of have to go around. Fight our way around here. And you can see that the Templar is quite handy. He doesn't do as much damage as your character does, but does definitely help a lot. And then he has a couple of different abilities that he can do, and I think depending on him or the Enchantress or the Scoundrel, between the three of them, they all have different things in terms of do they...
We have just arrived in Tristram, and I must say, I'm a bit dismayed. This place is a backwater filled with serfs and an ancient broken-down monastery, hardly fit for the King of Condorus. I cannot fathom why Lazarus was so intent on this becoming our new seat of power.
Alright, so that was actually King Leoric's journal there, and before he went completely crazy, and just before they moved to Tristram in the first place to set up camp, so to speak, and before I finished talking about the three companions, so basically Lazarus was already under control of Diablo, and it was because Diablo got control of Lazarus that he brought the king here, because Diablo wanted to possess the king. And long story short, he couldn't possess the king, so the king went crazy, and instead I believe Diablo possessed the king's son, which just drove the king even more crazy, because he lost his son in the process. So just there's a little bit of history there with that. And so, as I was saying with the companions, so like I said, they give different types of assistance. So with the Templar, he can either draw aggro from the beasties as he levels up, or he can provide healing, I believe. And then the Enchantress has a couple of different things that she can do, as well as the Scoundrel, which I've actually not played with the Scoundrel. I've only done the Templar or the Enchantress, and the Enchantress tends to be my favorite. And you'll see that later on when we meet her. Anyway, so here we are confronting the Skeleton King, former King Leoric. This is a boss battle, so all the other elites that we fought, you know, you could consider them, actually not, they're not really mini-bosses, they're just kind of elites that you encounter along the way, but this is definitely one of the boss battles near the end of the first chapter of this game, and actually near the end of the first chapter of normal level. He's not too terribly difficult, as long as you stay on your feet and you make sure you get rid of the ads that kind of swarm in every now and again. And once you get rid of them, he comes back and you can basically keep whooping his ass, so to speak. but especially on normal level, he's not really that difficult. Once you get up to Hell and Inferno level, that's when he starts getting really tough. And we're having a full team of like 4 or 5 people to fight him. The more people you have to play with, the tougher it is to kill him. But at the same time, it's still he's not like 5 times tougher to kill. So it's actually easier, I think, in the long run if you have 5 people, in my opinion. So anyway, there we go. We just got rid of that Skeleton King. Hopefully he can now rest in peace, so to speak. And so we just went down into the Desolate Chamber, and the final phase of this is to discover what the heck it is in that fell in the crater. Is it a big meteor? Is it a star? What the heck is it that fell down here? And we're about to find out.
It was you that fell from the sky? I do not believe that you are behind the evil of this place.
I am. I remember falling.
Who are you?
I am not your enemy. I think. Yes, I believe I have come with a warning. The darkness. The darkness is coming. I don't remember.
I will take you to Cain. He will help.
Alright, so we just discovered that the fallen star is actually a person who fell from the sky. Don't know exactly who he is yet because he's lost his entire memory, but that's what we will be discovering in sort of the next chapter of the game, is kind of figuring out who he is.
The long road the gods set me upon has led here, to the truth that the fallen star is a man. He knows nothing of who he is, or where he came from. Perhaps Cain will know the truth.
Alright, so we're now back in Tristram, and just going to finish out some of this storyline.
In the crater made by the fallen star.
No man could survive such a thing. Who are you? What are you?
A warrior, I think. I came bearing grave news, but I cannot remember.
Your message might be all that can save us from impending doom. Tell me everything you remember, stranger. Every detail.
Falling. Fire. A sword of great power. It was part of me, but it shattered into 3 pieces as I fell.
It is vital that we find those pieces. I believe the sword made whole will restore your memory.
The goatmen are rampaging through the fields. Could the sword have anything to do with that?
Of course, of course. Just as the dead rose around the stranger, the sword pieces drove the goatmen to madness.
The goatmen are of little concern. I will bring back the sword.
Alright, so for the next episode, that's basically our objective is going to be to find the 3 different pieces of the sword. I don't know if I'll do all 3 pieces as one episode or not. I think each piece, trying to find each piece is quite a bit of time. It's fairly time consuming, so I may actually break that up into 3 separate episodes. So thanks for joining me, and until next time, take care. Bye-bye.